the ranting and raving, and sort of someone who's 16 years old seems to have more information and science behind it than someone who's been studying it all their lives. But the one thing that stuck in my brain 4 or 5 years ago were the flat earthers. So to put this into a little bit of a nutshell, what I see is that old English adage that a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. And the world has got 8 billion people in it. That means there's more stupid people in it today than there were, 30 years ago. The social media, the internet, Google, you have a lot of people out there in the world who are really dumb, who think they're really smart.
Yep.
That's the that as an overall problem, I think that's an overall. And I also think, to compound that, there is a very fast imbalance between gender power. I think men are very, very weak these days, exceedingly weak. They're pushovers, generally speaking. And that creates a balance problem with the women, but sort of post-feminism and all that kind of stuff. Men are just generally weak. We just do not take a stand on anything. And when I say men, and I as a man, I speak for men. We used to have a much more conservative, and I say conservative with a small c, a much more conservative, measured, reasonable, responsible anchor that we used to play in society. We're gone. And I think generally wokeism, and this is just a personal observation, wokeism is a very female thing as far as I can see. Maybe I'm wrong. Someone's going to tell me I'm wrong. I find that this sort of victim culture is a kind of thing that generally pervades itself amongst the females. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I talking nonsense?
No, I think part of it is the fact that boys today are not being raised as men, even by men that are physically men, right? They're being raised, and my wife hates when I use this term, they're raised like little pussies. And that's the problem.
Exactly right. I wanted to say that, but I was hoping you would say it. So
I'll say it. But no, it's true. They're all little pussies. It's like, make them men.
I'm glad you let that pussy out of the bag.
Yes. Yeah. I love a pussy.
Have we not reached a stage with or without pussy? Have we not reached a stage where years ago, when I was at school, you were asked a question and you stood up and you responded to that question, and now it seems, and you look directly in front of you, and that was how you felt about it. And I notice that even with younger people around me, when a question is asked, which is a bit prickly, a little bit of barbed wire around it, they tend to look right and left first before they give an answer.
You're not, as you're saying, your hand is stayed. You're not allowed to express yourself. You're not allowed to develop yourself. You have to be constantly conforming, even at a young age, to what other people may or may not think. And that's why I'm saying, when we were kids, we got into fights. We got into physical fights. We got into verbal fights. I've got into racist fights where people have said something to me and I've given them back. And I think I mentioned this last time. I've given them back 10 times what they said to me. And that was part of the social development. And then your friends 5 minutes later, and you've learned something and you've moved on, and it's a joke, and it's not serious, and that we're all born, we all die, we're all equal. And in the meanwhile, we have this game about who's better. Sometimes you're better because you've got more money. Sometimes you're better because you've got a different color skin. Sometimes you're better because your girlfriend's prettier than someone else's girlfriend. That's just life. But now you cannot say these things, or apparently you can't say these things. And this forum, what I'm really enjoying about this forum is the ability to blow off, just like smoking a cigar, blowing off, saying what's on your mind. Sometimes you'll offend someone. So what?